All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating paradox in the world of entertainment. Just picture this, a universe constructed entirely out of simple, low-resolution cubes. There are absolutely no mandatory quests, no linear storyline you have to follow, and the graphics, well, they look like they're straight out of the 1990s. Logically, a game like this just shouldn't be a global juggernaut in our modern era of hyper-realistic, high-definition entertainment, right? Well, prepare to have those assumptions completely shattered because today we're exploring the limitless, blocky empire of Minecraft.
So, let's kick things off with a number that is, honestly, just hard to wrap your head around. 400 million. And no, that's not a high score, that is the actual number of copies Minecraft has sold worldwide. It makes it definitively the best-selling video game of all time. We're talking eclipsing massive, big-budget AAA franchises by a landslide. But how on earth did a quirky little indie project achieve a milestone like that? To understand it, we really have to strip the game all the way down to its most basic, granular level.
Section 1. An infinite blocky world. The anatomy of a voxel.
Let's look at the actual foundation of this digital universe and the core gameplay loop that keeps hundreds of millions of players coming back day after day. It all comes down to one concept, the voxel. See, Minecraft doesn't use smooth polygons like most modern games do. It operates on a very strict three-dimensional grid system. Every single thing in this world, dirt, stone, wood, water, lava, it's all represented by a cube or a block. And here's the brilliant part. Very few of these blocks are actually affected by gravity. You can literally punch a tree trunk out from the bottom and the top of the tree just hovers there midair. The entire gameplay loop revolves around this one mechanic. You break these voxel blocks to gather materials, and then you place them back down to build literally whatever your mind can conjure up.
Now, you're working with these tiny, single blocks, but you're dropping them into a procedurally generated world that is effectively infinite. As you're exploring, the game is continuously generating totally unique biomes, mountains, plains, oceans, deep caves, all using a random map seed. For years, players actually tried to walk to the edge of the world, and they'd run into this crazy glitch known as the Far Lands. Today, the game just uses a special impassable barrier, a world border. But it is located a staggering 30 million blocks away from the center. It's a microscopic mechanic generating a truly macroscopic universe.
Section 2. Surviving and thriving. Choose your adventure.
Once you're dropped into this massive voxel sandbox, you kind of have to decide how you actually want to spend your time. There are two main ways to experience it, and honestly, they couldn't be more different. First up, survival mode. This is where the game really shows its teeth. You spawn in with absolutely nothing. You've got to manage a health bar and a hunger bar. And when the sun goes down, yeah, hostile mobs like skeletons, giant spiders, and those iconic explosive creepers will actively hunt you. You have to frantically punch trees, mine stone, smelt ores, and craft armor just to stay alive. But on the flip side, we have creative mode. Here, all that stress just completely vanishes. You're invincible. You can fly around the map, and you have infinite access to every single block and item in the game right from a menu. It's basically a pure, unadulterated canvas for digital architects.
Section 3. Expanding the Minecraft universe. Beyond the overworld.
Now, if you thought exploring 30 million blocks of forests and deserts was enough, well, that's literally just the ground floor. The cosmology of this game actually features 3 distinct, independent dimensions that you travel between using portals. At the top, you've got the overworld. That's your standard terrestrial starting point. Below that is the Nether, which is this terrifying, hell-like underworld. You get down there by building a portal out of obsidian. It's packed with oceans of lava, these shrieking fireball-shooting things called ghasts, and anthropomorphic pigs called piglins that you can actually barter with using gold. And finally, there's the end, a dark, bottomless void filled with floating islands.
And getting to the end, it's not a stroll in the park. It's a full-on, multi-dimensional epic quest. First, you have to combine items from the overworld and the Nether just to craft these things called Eyes of Ender. You throw them up into the sky, and they magically guide you to a hidden underground maze called a stronghold. Deep inside, you activate a portal that drops you straight into a boss fight with a massive enemy, the Ender Dragon. But what's truly incredible here is the reward. When you defeat the dragon, the game's credits roll, and they feature the end poem. It's a 1,500-word piece by the Irish novelist Julian Gough. It literally takes 9 minutes to read, it's the game's only narrative text, and it speaks directly to the player. It is such a profoundly poetic ending to a game about stacking blocks.
Section 4. The power of community. Mods, servers, and markets.
While the base game is obviously a masterpiece, the real secret to its insane longevity isn't just what the developers made.
It's what the players made out of it. It fundamentally acts as a platform. You've got massive multiplayer servers like Hypixel, which has seen over 14 million unique players logging in just to play custom minigames. Then there's the modding community. These are programmers who reverse engineer the game's code to add entirely new mechanics. Take the Create mod, for example. It literally turns the game into a complex, automated factory simulator. For the more casual players, Mojang rolled out Minecraft Realms so friend groups can easily and safely host private servers. People are building custom adventure maps with their own rules, puzzles, and storylines, just completely transforming the vanilla experience.
And all that passion? It eventually snowballed into a massive economy. Back in 2017, they introduced the Minecraft Marketplace, and the numbers are just staggering. We are talking about over 1.7 billion downloads of user-generated content. Skins, maps, texture packs, you name it. Players buy these using Minecoins, which is a digital currency bought with real money. By 2022, this marketplace had generated over $500 million in revenue. Independent creators are literally making a living just by designing content for this blocky universe. It's wild.
Section 5. A $2 billion empire. From indie to Microsoft. So, this perfect storm of infinite gameplay and intense community devotion leads us to a corporate evolution that is, well, it's pretty legendary. Back in 2009, this whole thing started as a prototype by a developer named Marcus Notch, Persson, who was heavily inspired by an earlier game called Infiniminer. He dropped a public alpha on a random indie gaming forum. Fast forward to 2011, the game gets its official full release, and Notch hands the creative reins over to Jens Jeb Bergensten. Then, 2014 hits, and the tectonic plates of the gaming industry completely shift when Microsoft swoops in. By 2017, Microsoft rolled out the Better Together update, seamlessly unifying all these different console and mobile versions into one massive cross-play ecosystem known as the Bedrock Edition.
But let's rewind and pause on that 2014 acquisition for a second. $2.5 billion. That is what Microsoft paid to acquire Mojang and the Minecraft IP. And you know what the catalyst was for this monumental corporate buyout? A tweet. Persson was feeling incredibly overwhelmed by criticism from the community over some changes to the end-user license agreement. So he essentially tweeted out his frustration, basically asking if anyone wanted to buy his share of the company so he could move on. Microsoft called almost immediately. That single deal made Persson one of Forbes' world's billionaires practically overnight.
Once under Microsoft's umbrella, the franchise just exploded onto virtually every device with a screen. You've got the original Java edition on PC, which is still beloved by the hardcore modding community. You had the legacy console editions that brought it to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Today, the vast majority of players use the Bedrock edition, which is what allows someone sitting on a Nintendo Switch to play right alongside a friend on an iPad. But it goes even further than that. There's an education edition that's used in schools all over the globe to teach things like coding and history. And then there is the China edition, a localized free-to-play version that boasts over 700 million registered accounts. It's a truly ubiquitous cultural force.
Section 6. The Sound of the Sandbox. The Artisan Roots.
Now, despite becoming this multi-billion-dollar tech juggernaut, the game never really lost its quirky indie soul. There's this really beautiful contradiction in modern Minecraft. On the one hand, you have absolutely bleeding-edge visual tech. Microsoft partnered up with NVIDIA to bring real-time path tracing to the game, transforming those basic blocks with hyper-realistic dynamic shadows, volumetric fog, and physically-based rendering. I mean, it pushes modern graphics cards to their absolute limits. But on the exact same token, the audio design, created by composer Daniel C418 Rosenfeld, is completely artisanal. It wasn't cooked up in some high-tech lab. It was made using incredibly practical, hands-on Foley techniques.
I absolutely love this story about Rosenfeld. He was trying to figure out how to make the sound of footsteps walking on grass. Walking on actual grass just didn't sound right on the microphone, so he started doing all this creative trial and error. His ultimate solution? What you want to do is get a VHS, break it apart, and just lightly touch the tape. That crinkling magnetic tape, that is the iconic sound of Minecraft grass. He did the exact same thing for the terrifying hiss of the game's spires. He literally recorded a fire hose, dumped the audio into a sampler, and pitched it around until it sounded like a creepy monster. It's that handcrafted charm that makes the game feel so remarkably personal even today.
So, what does this all mean? It leaves us with one final big question to ponder. How did a sandbox with zero required goals manage to capture the entire world's imagination? Well, it definitely wasn't through cinematic storytelling or photorealistic graphics. It was by providing a 30 million block canvas, a few crinkly VHS sound effects, and simply handing players the tools to define their own adventures.
Whether you're out fighting an ender dragon or you're just happily building a dirt hut, the story of Minecraft is really just the story of human creativity unleashed. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you walk away seeing those simple little blocks in a completely new light. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.